thousands of years, the Bible has been a source of moral guidance for millions of people around the world. It is a sacred text intended to be a part of our daily lives. But could the Bible contain contradictions and hidden meanings about what is right and what is wrong when it comes to sex?
The Bible is fundamentally about the relationship of people to one another. If you read the Bible with open eyes, you will be shocked at the sexuality, the sinfulness.
There's no question that the Song of Songs is a very sensuous and erotic text.
There's a lot of sex in the Bible, but there's a lot more sex in the Bible than you would think.
It is one of the most important books ever written. Its contents have been studied, debated, and fought over for thousands of years. But does the Bible also contain secrets? Secret prophecies? Secret characters? Secret texts? Now, for the first time, an extraordinary series will challenge everything we think, everything we know, and everything we believe about the Bible. The Hebrew Bible, also known as the Old Testament, begins with the story of God's creation of the world. In the first chapter of the book of Genesis, God forms man and woman in his own image. He blesses them and commands them to be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. This commandment is the first reference to the act of procreation in the Bible, and, according to many scholars, sets the tone for the numerous stories of sex and sexual behavior that follow.
Sex and the Bible are intimately related to one another because the Bible claims to tell the story of human history. And of course, human relations and sexual relations are an integral part, a vital part, quite literally, from the Latin vita, of human history.
Sex in the Bible appears in different places in different variations. In other words, sometimes sex is just part of the story. There are also cases where sex is part of laws, legislation, and in those cases, it's part of the structuring of society's behavior in general.
A lot of people look to the Bible for guidance in a lot of areas, so it shouldn't be surprising that people look to it for sexual guidance as well.
There's a lot of sex in the Bible, but there's a lot more sex in the Bible than you would think.
The first 5 books of the Old Testament, called the Torah, were intended to guide the Israelites' religious and civil behavior, as well as strengthen their identity as a people and preserve their heritage.
One of the great themes of the Bible is that the world around Israel was corrupt, and that the kingdom of Israel was the one refuge for the righteous. This is a continuous drumbeat throughout the Bible.
As they roamed the barren environments of the ancient Middle East, the early Israelites lacked a homeland, a well-defined community, and even a traditional social structure. Seeking rules for everyday life, Moses' followers relied on the Torah for detailed instructions on everything from preparing food to cleaning a wound, and even having sex.
If you look at Jewish sexual laws, they seem to be designed to ensure for procreation. For example, a man and woman having intercourse and the man ejaculates outside the woman's body in order to prevent conception. That's forbidden.
The only sexual practices that are outlawed in the Hebrew Bible are outlawed because if a child was to be born,
it's not going to result in a legitimate Jewish child.
If you look at biblical rules about planting seeds, they thought of it all as seed. The word for semen is seed. And so is the word for descendants, right? This is your seed, your offspring.
That comes from people who are nomads, and their survival depends on the fertility of the flocks and the fertility of the people. So it makes a lot of sense that the sexual laws are directed toward procreation.
There actually seems to be a recognition in Genesis that there's not enough people in your group. Stories in Genesis are framed by these long lists of so-and-so begat so-and-so begat so-and-so. The whole drama is driven by, oh, we better get some begetting here. We need to beget, otherwise we're not going to have a community.
The third book of the Torah, Leviticus, lays out detailed laws for the faithful, including guidelines for marriage, family, inheritance, and sexual behavior.
However, the book of Leviticus is the priestly code. It's the laws according to the priesthood of ancient Israel. And we all know that priests and rabbis and ministers tend to be fairly strict about what constitutes proper behavior among the laity. So Leviticus has very, very strict rules about the sexual aspect of life.